Hello there. Happy May the 4th. I for one are pretty drained. I just got done with an AP seminar exam.
Wow.
But
Great way to start this.
yeah,
Real
well,
nice.
Welcome to our
glad-
Star Wars talk
glad-
about John's AP seminar.
I'm glad it's done with. So now I can just treat myself to Star Wars movies.
Amen.
But I'm just gonna watch 1 to 6. I don't want to get disappointed with 7 to 9.
Wow. Start controversy.
We start.
right
We start.
away.
We start with the
Wow.
controversy. I
The
mean,
hard hits.
I don't know what defenders of 7 to 9 would actually say.
Well, so I think that my opinion with Star Wars is it's interesting. So you get the people that have watched the episodes 4, 5, and 6, right? That watched the first original movies and then refuse to believe that any other movie could ever be as good because they were the first ones. Yet,
Yeah.
if you find out that George Lucas had no budget with the first one and no one thought it was going to succeed, that's why he owned the rights until he sold them to Disney and is a billionaire, right? So like he was a genius. The first 3 movies, 1, 2, and 3, with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, now are loved and made Kenobi amazing. They weren't liked originally. So the interesting thing to think about, I think, is people that don't like 7, 8, and 9 now, will they like them in 20 years? Or will they not?
Like,
Because
over
I
time.
do think that, like, Kylo Ren has the look of a great bad guy. The storyline is not terrible. It's just he was a little whiny, and then he was called Kylo Ren by a bunch of people, and then I haven't stopped saying that since. I do think there's a lot of things at the story that is good. I think the question is, was Disney taking it and running with it really the best idea? Or would it have been darker if someone else took it? Like, should Zack Snyder just take every movie universe and make it his own?
I mean, I think the difference with 7, 8, and 9 is that prequels had slander, but now they're loved because we know this was George Lucas's story. But this time, George Lucas sold Disney, and now we got 2 writers who were supposed to be 3. Someone was supposed to do Rise of Skywalker, someone else, but then they just backed out, and it was J.J. Abrams, and he had to clean up the mess that The Last Jedi was left behind by Rian Johnson.
One thing that I noticed was that Hayden Christensen in particular was criticized for his acting. But 7, 8, and 9, they're criticized for their bad writing in the story.
And plot.
And the plot. They're not criticizing Daisy Ridley's acting. They're not criticizing
would've loved.
Adam Driver's acting.
Everyone would have wanted John Boyega.
Yeah.
Or Adam Driver, but then because their characters were just handled poorly.
And also, I think Rey, they handled her really poorly because they made her, like, I understand how, yes.
No, I mean,
I understand
that's
how,
one
like, they were
problem.
supposed to make her special because she's a Jedi and that, like, Luke Skywalker, Jedi, all that jazz. But they made her way too special, way too main character. Like,
Mary
they
Sue.
could, like, way too privileged, per se. Like, they should have made her work a lot like how Luke did. Like, he had, like, they did, but also it was just way too cut and dry.
Well, I think they were trying to do too much at once, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I was talking to John the other day, and we were saying that it's like a snapshot of the original.
It is.
Like, they
It
just
is.
redid the original with different characters. So it sounds like they're trying to, because if you look now, I mean, they have Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, which I thought were both really good. Some slow moments, but really good. I think Kenobi was amazing. They never even thought. Like, Kenobi was meant to be 1 season. Already is going to have a second.
I really
Because
want
of
to see
how
that.
much people love it. When I think that's awesome because Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor now get to be celebrated when they weren't originally.
Yeah.
But I think with 7, 8, and 9, they tried to make it too many different
I feel like they
things.
also rushed it a
So,
little bit.
like,
Story was rushed.
they should, like, Star Wars always has a really great bad guy, right? So, like, you have, in the originals, it's Darth Vader, and then you find out Palpatine as Darth Vader's, teacher. And then going back to ones, the good news is the story was already written, right? For 1, 2, and 3. So you know that it's like, this guy's going to become Vader, but, like, you sympathize with him so much, you almost don't want him to, even in the 3rd movie. But then you also get to watch Palpatine become who he was, which is a kind of a cool storyline. But you have these, like, really great bad guys. And Snoke, I felt like when I first saw 7, I was like, all right, cool. Now they have, like, this other guy. He's not human looking, right? There's something that has gone on here. Very overpowered. So powered that he's kind of taken this man born to be a Jedi and has turned him and all of his stuff. And then as soon as I'm like, I can't wait to find out who Snoke is, it's like, no, he's just a puppet made by Palpatine who's now come back again, although he didn't, and they made that all happen in 10 seconds.
Right.
And I'm like, what the heck?
Because, like, you went, what was it, Rise of Skywalker? They did that?
Yeah.
Like, I clicked the movie on, and all I've seen is, it was, who was it?
Kylo Ren? What?
Kylo Ren, yeah. He's just walking through this, like, dark area, and all of a sudden, he comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay,
You start hearing
what led up
voices
to this?
out
Why
there.
is he, like, where?
Well, the dyad in the
Where's the
Force
story?
was awesome. Like, I thought that, I always wondered, like, you had no idea. And I thought the cool thing with Rey and Kylo Ren, that's somewhere where I thought they were really strong, and they stayed strong
It
throughout.
was like a bond, like,
You didn't
Luke and
know how
Leia
they
had.
were, exactly, but you
Yin
didn't
and
know
yang.
where they was. Were they bonded because of love? Were they actually siblings? Was it this weird? You never knew what it was, and it did leave this mystery that I thought was really good about the movies. I love that. The fact that they could see each other. There was this fight of him wanting her to go to the dark versus her wanting him to go to the light, and like the tension there and stuff was really great. The problem was, like you said, there was always this inconsistency with the writing, and it always seemed like at the end of the day, they had a certain amount of stuff they needed to shove in. Like they had a checklist, and it was like, all right, at some point we're going to have this. Ewoks were really cute, but we don't want to have them fight anyone. We're going to have porgs, and we're just going to throw them on there. And like they're not really essential to anything.
Should we be like, let's cook them?
Well, then Chewie
like-
cooked them and ate them, right?
They're just marketing.
I feel like they
boards.
could have spread some stuff out through other movies or through, like,
They
not
didn't
on
need,
a
they
show.
didn't need to rush. I think they were so worried. I think they knew that 1, 2, and 3 originally when they came out flopped to a certain extent. I actually love them, and I love them more as I've gotten older.
loved them since
I sometimes
Like,
watch
they're
them
great.
more, but I think they were worried. Like so many people were hyped up that it was like, man, if we drop the ball, this isn't going to go well. So they were like, we're going to shove as much into these 3 movies. We have to have 3 because it's always been 3. We're gonna do this. We're gonna shove as much in there as possible, so that hopefully it does well enough with the hype of the Star Wars name and Disney behind it. And if it doesn't continue, meanwhile, people who love Star Wars love Star Wars. This could continue for generations or centuries.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy. It's just
The way they
enough
executed
of a,
it
Think
was
about the
just-
title. It's called Star Wars. That is not imaginative. Wars in the stars. It is not. We are not talking about this deep thought out thing, right? What is the thing? People with laser swords, probably because they had a talk and were like, what would be a fighting weapon of elegance? Swords are always considered, right? Japanese culture, samurai culture, even in England and everything like that. A sword is a respected weapon, right? It's a respectful way to fight. And so they're like, okay, cool, sword's a great weapon.
Let's
but
make
it's the
them-
future. Let's make them laser swords. Like,
Yeah.
exactly. And so they went this way. But it was such a silly concept, and I think that's what's so cool about it, right? George Lucas everyone bet against him, and he's like, let's do this. Like, you know when you watch the original movies that, like, the CGI is terrible. You know that it's like a black screen with glowing dots, and this thing is hanging in the
PowerPoint
air.
transitions.
But you don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You see past that.
I appreciate you guys inviting me in for this. I look forward to future ones. I unfortunately have a meeting because I'm a boring teacher. But this has been great. I look forward to hearing the rest of what you say and continuing because I think Star Wars is big enough to have many podcasts on. Thanks so much, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
So I think a good refresher with the 7, 8, and 9 was Rogue One.
Yeah.
Like it had a great plot line. It was.
I think it was the
loved it.
epitome of what the definition of what Star Wars is.
Yeah. And
if you
it-
just break down what
and it
Star
didn't-
Wars means.
I feel like it didn't have a typical storyline like the other movies did. Like we all know how, and I'm not gonna say like, oh, it ended like this because if people haven't watched it.
Yeah.
But like the way the storyline was, it wasn't too out of the ordinary. It made sense, but it wasn't a repeat of what you saw with 1
yeah,
through
it was
9.
it was a new story, but I think it's just ultimately what Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
She's like Dave Filoni has worked under George Lucas extensively. He worked with George Lucas to make the Clone Wars TV show, and now that he's taken on the reins, he's made phenomenal shows like The Mandalorian, and Rebels. I mean, the Book of Boba Fett had some iffies there.
You're right.
I think it's overrated, personally. I think it's a
I've
little
heard a
overrated.
lot of negative things about Boba Fett.
I was so excited to go into Boba Fett.
He
but
killed
they
Cad
just-
Bane so easily.
That's not the problem I had. The problem was that
He
No,
disrespected. He
your-
disrespected
your,
a
your
legend.
opinion's invalid, Toby.
I think the problem was that, first of all, that's Power Rangers speeder chase thing was like 2 miles an hour. But then what was I gonna say? I mean, I like the backstory of how Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc. I think that part was good, and then leading into his role in the Mandalorian, that was pretty good. But then after he took control of Mos Espa, I feel like he just stopped becoming that menacing character. I mean, when we saw him in The Empire Strikes Back, he was a menacing guy. People were scared. I was scared. I was scared of him I was scared of him when I first saw him. But now that like has his helmet on, helmet off, 24/7, having to lie in the back of the tank every 24 hours, and riding a Rancor, like.
People are so cool when they're evil, but then when they turn good, they like
when
go
they
down
turn,
like
I mean,
20
some
notches.
characters
But I
should
feel
stay
like
evil.
when you go from good to evil, there's sometimes there's characters that when they turn good, they still have the qualities that they were when they were evil, but like, does that make sense? You know?
No, well, I sort of take Boba Fett's turn to good as sort of like, oh, when you battle a boss, when you unlock him
can
as a
do it
character,
correctly.
it's so much
Yeah.
worse.
You can make him good, but still keep that violent nature. And like
Like the
nowadays-
aggressiveness, but
Yeah.
with different intentions.
Yeah, there's just some stuff about Book of Boba Fett that kind of disappointing. I mean, also it stopped becoming Boba Fett's show at some
Right.
point. At like I will say episode 4 or 5. There was an episode that was just Mandalorian,
Yeah.
and then we see it's all just connection with him and Grogu, having to rely on him without Grogu
So like
for
a
like
transition from Book of Boba Fett to like
Mandalorian season
part
2.5.
Yeah.
But then it's like we just see him without Grogu for like 20 minutes, but for him it was apparently 2 years. But I feel like he just got Grogu back so quickly and in the wrong show. We should have seen him in like the Mandalorian season 3 having to struggle, go a few episodes without Grogu. We should see what Grogu has been doing with Luke Skywalker. But I just think that him getting Grogu back in the Mandalorian, not in the Book of Boba Fett, was a bit too soon.
Did you ever see the animation of the Clone Wars?
Wait, well, like,
What do you mean?
Like there was an animation with I think I
like
don't know.
the 2D show, like released in 2003, or like the
Yeah. It was
There was 2 Clone Wars shows.
yeah. I'm not sure which one it was, but like, how do you feel about those?
The
I don't know.
2003, the 2D Clone Wars show back in 2003, I did not see. But I think there were some, I've seen like glimpses of it, like, oh yeah, Anakin being knighted.
yeah.
That was a pretty good scene.
I think I am talking about the other.
The 3D one
Yeah,
from
3D.
2008.
Yeah,
That
yeah, that's
was,
the one.
That one was phenomenal.
I
Loved it.
love that
I'm actually
one.
still watching it right now.
I like that stuff too. How you guys doing? I just figured
Really?
I'd,
I was
I'd jump
Vito.
in. I was behind the camera and I couldn't help myself. No, I love this. May the 4th be with you. I always feel like I have a speech impediment when I say that. But I it's just funny. Who came up with that?
Oh,
I never actually thought about that.
you know what? Maybe
with
I'll
May the
just look
4th?
that up.
I think I thought
May the 4th.
May the 4th, yeah. I just
Revenge
figured
of the 5th,
Revenge of the
Return
okay.
of the 6th.
Is that what they say?
I mean,
that's
if you want to really like extend it,
I feel like it would be like a fan base thing,
Yeah.
it would be.
because
So-
my internet's not working, so
No,
I can't help you there.
it's just an interesting thing to think about. Like how did this come about? Was it from a meme or something like that? No, I love this topic. But see, I'm a classic Star Wars fan,
Yeah.
right?
The classics you can't replace those.
You
No,
cannot
you
replace
cannot.
those.
You cannot say
That-
they're bad.
I-
cannot
Nor
say
can
they're
you
bad.
you can't really destroy it either. If you
No.
put like a spin-off that if you end up being
It
successful at
wouldn't ruin
damaging-
the originals.
Yeah.
It would just damage the overall reputation of the spin-off.
spin-off, yeah.
Like, it would hurt the spin-off, but not the originals, because
Like
the
in-
originals
just
are
like with Boba Fett.
practically untouchable.
Just like with Boba Fett.
And I think the way I would rank it, I would go originals, prequel, sequel.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. I don't hate the sequel, but
I'll accept the sequels.
I like the
existence.
sequels.
Oh.
Like,
I'll accept its
I like
canonicity.
most of it, but there are certain parts of the sequels that I just feel like should have been changed, should have been thought through a lot more.
This has been a long-standing debate about the prequels and the sequels.
The
It's
sequels,
because there's too many
Yeah.
hands in it. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. And once Disney bought it, it was like this whole other thing. And
It was.
they expanded the universe, and that's great. And I love all
but
the
they rushed
all the
it way
shows.
too much.
But the movies specifically, like all the other shows, like Kenobi,
The movies are the
and
central backbone of the entire franchise.
Right.
yeah, but the sequels, the 7, 8, 9, I thought they were awful. And I also
think
thought the
you're not
prequels
only one
were
that thinks
awful.
that.
The only
No,
thing
many
I
people
love-
think they're like absolutely horrendous, and there's people who like love them.
I think it's just because of the memes.
Yeah, and I think I stand like I like them, but they could have been better.
I think the only people who like the sequels are those who got introduced by the sequels.
Yeah.
I think people
Yes.
who like the prequels just like Revenge of the Sith.
But I think also
Well, yeah.
people
I like all
people
three
are
prequels.
joining like the bandwagons of hating the sequels or hating prequels. Like they're not giving specific reasons why they hate it. They're
I-
just like joining the like, oh,
I
a
mean,
lot of people hate it, so
I
I'm
will
gonna join
admit,
too.
I will admit that one thing that I think the sequels does, I guess, for me personally, it does better than the original Legends, Star Wars Legends, was that it's so much more simpler than
Right.
Star Wars Legends. Star Wars Legends, you have like, Luke's son is this, and he also and then Han also has this son who they named after this guy, and then there's also these new different types of Force crystals. And it's like
Something
so
about Legends is
complicated.
still
Right.
there's something about Legends that still takes me out of my comfort zone a little bit because
It's too much.
so expansive. Like if I were to tell you that Han Solo had 3 children, Anakin Solo, Jason Solo, and Jaina Solo in Legends. Jason Solo became a Sith Lord named Darth Caedus, who fell apprentice under Darth Krayt. You wouldn't know that.
No, now is that from the books?
It is from the expanded material
That's awesome.
before Disney bought Star Wars.
Well, see, this whole Star Wars universe, it affords a whole bunch of creative people to get together and create all this different content based on the same type of theme. My problem is it's become overly commercialized to the point where it's ridiculous.
I feel like they're doing some of it just for money.
Well,
Disney.
absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
That's why
not just
Disney
that's
bought
not,
it.
That's
That's
not
why
just a
Disney
Star
bought
Wars
it.
problem. That's a Disney problem.
Well,
Yeah.
here's how it started, and this is the way I always saw it. The original Star Wars in 1977, right, Episode 4, when that came out, and then Empire, and then Return of the Jedi, that in and of itself it had a certain grit to it. It had a certain aesthetic, right? It was dark. It was powerful. It was something that was crafted beautifully, written by George Lucas, yes, but not directed by him.
exactly.
And that
He
was
did
the
not-
problem with the prequels. He was too absorbed in his own idea. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
It's my opinion. I mean, obviously he's a billionaire. He could do whatever he wants, right?
Yeah.
But it was just I think he lost perspective of why the audience was so captivated. It was that whole gritty, dark, historically futuristic, right? You know,
Yeah.
because it's supposed to be a long time ago, right?
It really is
In a
just.
galaxy
it
far,
really-
far away.
I think the prequels just suddenly became so much more technologically
Right.
advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did it because he could do it. He really
Yeah.
But-
wasn't concerned with the audience, in
I've-
my opinion.
Like I agree with that. They were a lot more advanced than the originals, and I think if you were to try to watch them before the originals, you'd be like, why did
Why
things
is-
like
why-
devolve?
Well, yeah. Why is everything so
Like when
regressed? I
things should
think
have like
everyone had
From-
like robes and they
evolved.
looked so wise.
From an in-universe perspective, I like to think that's after the
oh, no, there was an answer. There's an answer to that.
Yeah,
Canonically.
after episode 3 in like the Jedi Purge, I think I guess after everything that happened after all the Clone Wars, the Empire was I guess rebuilding in
No, they were taking
they were taking
from all of the civilizations of the planets.
Mhm.
That's basically why they regressed in
yeah.
their resources.
I think like heavy criticizing beside, I think what makes Star Wars like all the movies unique is that they all have their different well, how would you say that? Like their different
Visual aesthetic.
aesthetics, quirks, I guess.
Yeah.
And also like even they all have like some sort of thing like, oh, this could have been better, this could have been better.
You
But
know,
that's what makes them the movies. Like they all had their specific way.
Yeah.
Of doing something.
yeah, but like I said at the beginning, I really think there were too many hands in the movies. Like the other stuff, I understand. Like all of the other expanded universe stuff, that's all well and good. But
Yeah.
when it comes down, I guess that's because I'm a movie guy,
Yeah.
right? But if you're gonna make a story that large and make it a
Think it
motion
through a little
picture, have some consistency. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, there was no aesthetic
I feel like the
consistency. There was no
sequels-
narrative consistency.
Sequels was like the biggest violator of this.
Oh
Especially,
yeah. Oh
especially like, but people who grew up with Luke Skywalker, with Leia and Han Solo, they come back to Episode 7 and they notice, in Episode 8, and they notice that Luke Skywalker is a hermit who abandoned the Jedi Order.
yeah. I hate
Han
Yeah.
Solo has become a smuggler again.
Like I was so
It's
confused
awful.
on
It
how
was
we just
awful.
went.
Han Solo and Leia are split.
Yeah, like
Going back to Luke. One I guess thing is that in Star Wars Rebels, when Ahsoka fights Vader, she cuts off half of Vader's mask, and Obi-Wan cuts off instead the opposite half of Vader's mask.
But he
And
couldn't get
in
full
Return
Anakin out of it.
in Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker was the only person to pull Anakin out of the whole mask, to bring Anakin out of Darth Vader.
you know,
And then all of a sudden in Episode 8, we now learn that he turned on a youngling who had the smallest
senses
speck
a little
of
bit of
dark
dark-
side. It's like, oh, okay, no, I'm not
That's
dealing
not
with
the
this
worst
anymore.
part.
Like,
He
that-
sensed
that's
a
the
little bit.
opposite. That's the opposite
I
of what
find it
Luke
funny.
Skywalker is.
Like, I do like the sequels. Like I said, there's certain things I do find wrong with them. What I find weird and confusing was when in the originals, Luke had a problem with Han because Han was gonna leave and not come back because he got the money
Yeah.
and he was gonna leave, and Luke was like, "Why are you doing this?"
He stayed.
Fast forward to 7, 8, 9. Luke is gone. Like
Luke left.
he completely left, and then Han obviously.
Oh, so you're saying it's
Becomes-
inconsistent with his character?
It
became-
is,
it
but
became
also
inconsistent once
it's like
the-
why? It's very hypocritical of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of hypocrisy in that. Like
but
why?
that's the writer's fault.
Right? Why? Like
Yeah.
I understand.
Poor
Even
writing,
Mark
poor
Hamill
writing.
had a problem
Yeah.
with
like
it.
Not
I
the acting,
understand.
it's the
Like
poor writing.
oh, plot twist, but that's just a ridiculous plot twist. Like
Well,
that was unnecessary.
You heard
to
about
me.
Mark Hamill having a problem with that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hamill is-
I
he's
s-
warned us about this movie.
I saw a video yesterday on Instagram where he was talking with the actress for Rey, and he was saying how there were issues with the characters and the plot and Rey leaving Finn or something with that, and he was saying how he had issues with what was going on, and they both were, even Daisy.
Yeah.
Like they were
Daisy
both
has a
saying
It was
like
just
there's
everyone-
issues.
They were
Everyone-
trying to do too many big things, and they just
were.
lost sight. And that's the problem when you mix that whole money-making scheme of big Hollywood, and you lose the artistic integrity. And I thought that I really believe that they lost the artistic integrity. And just backtracking a little bit, why would you see? This is what frustrated me even before the 7, 8, 9 came out. What frustrated me originally was why would you, in the prequels, have such a short amount of time of the turn to the dark side? It happened
Right.
too quickly, in my opinion.
I saw
And
this.
why, even after that, make it or at least expand that in an animated series? Why not have that be live action? That would be
actually-
so much
it
more
was.
powerful.
Actually, that actually goes back to Jenna's point of hypocrisy.
Yes.
So I saw this video of this YouTuber, Star Wars Theory, and he was talking about why Anakin turned to the dark side in such a quick moment, and it was because since he was a child, let's go back to the Phantom Menace real quick. He was taken from his home, and he's promised his mother that he will come back for him. Fast forward to Attack of the Clones, he failed to do that, and
There's a lot of parental separation. in Star
yeah,
Wars.
and fast forward to Revenge of the Sith, he finds out that
The council doesn't trust him. No one trusts him.
he finds out that his
Mm.
wife is pregnant, but in a dream he sees that she is going to die from childbirth.
Yeah.
He goes to the council. The council denies his request to be given the rank of master so he can go into the Jedi archives and find a Jedi ability to save his wife from dying.
So it didn't really happen that quickly, is what you're saying.
It was kind of built up.
Yeah, but I think they built it up in a poor way.
Yeah.
They probably could have done a lot better
Yeah.
with how they
And
did
especially it was his rivalry. It was like his beef with Mace Windu. Mace Windu said, "Okay, that's against the Jedi way" and stuff like that. Right? He was always like
Proceeds to try
enforcing.
to kill Palpatine.
He was enforcing the corrupted views of the Jedi at the time, and by the time of when Mace Windu is facing Palpatine, he says, first of all, he's always told Anakin, "Don't kill any enemy." Now, when he's given the chance to kill Palpatine, he's going to do it, and Anakin says, "Isn't this not what the Jedi stand for. And it's
Right.
like, no, we're going to kill him. Hypocrite. And this is the Jedi never listened to him.
No.
Palpatine always did. Palpatine always was the only one in his life that tried to help him, aside from like Qui-Gon, of course. But Palpatine was the only one that was trying to help him. And when the only person that really cared about him, other than like Obi-Wan, Padme, and Ahsoka, really cared about him and is about to die at the hands of someone he works with, that's when he switched. He had to pick a side.
Yeah. No,
within a
yeah,
split second.
you bring up an interesting point. No, that's a very good point.
But for a long time, no one really understood why Anakin
I guess
switched so
I
quickly.
guess if it was crafted differently cinematically, and
It had, yeah.
then it would not
It's
have
about the execution.
had
if they
that
spent
feeling. Yeah.
more thought in how are they gonna.
They had to make that. They had to make that, that like mentality more obvious.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, there wasn't
Like,
there
there's a
wasn't
lot of
enough
gray
depth.
areas.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
wasn't enough character depth in the prequels at all.
And we didn't
No.
get that until the Clone Wars show.
I mean, how could you with freaking Jar Jar? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
whole other thing that I
Like
can't.
that-
That's such a sore subject for me.
I don't like comedic characters in Star Wars to begin with.
No,
But it
but the
was
way
done
that-
successfully in the originals.
I liked
Yeah.
Jar Jar. I liked him to an extent. Like I feel like they overplayed the humor in it. Like I feel like they
That's
could
why-
dialed it back a little bit.
That's why, like in the Phantom Menace, I did not want to see. I didn't really care about the Naboo battle between the Gungans and the battle droids. I just didn't care.
Yeah.
I was, of course, everyone was focused on the Qui-Gon Obi-Wan versus Maul thing.
Right.
No one really cared about the scene where they went into underwater and met with Boss Nass. I don't think anyone cared about that until we did the "There's always a bigger fish" scene.
Oh.
No, what do you think are the most iconic parts of Star Wars?
Oh, let's go.
All
back
the
to
memes.
The
All
Death
the
Star.
memes. The
all
memes.
the memes that the prequels is
Hello there.
comprised of.
General Kenobi.
Well,
Hello
but
there.
I
This
think
is where
that
the fun begins.
Iconic what? The iconic imagery? Because if so,
Like-
it would be the
Moments.
Death Star.
Yeah,
I think like in general,
yeah.
Yoda?
like
moments.
lines,
Do or do not, there
scenes.
is no try.
Do or do not. Yeah, well,
Yes.
that's
Do
a,
or do not, there is no try.
that
Yes.
is-
I
that's
love
a-
that
That's
quote. I love
that's grown
that.
to become a proverb in like
Yes.
Yeah.
But you see, that's what the universal appeal of these movies originally
Yeah.
was. These movies were based on the archetypal storytelling format, right? The wise old man, the hero's journey,
the hero's journey. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's what it was, and it was that meshed with the old swashbuckling sword fights of like Robin
And
Hood
like how
movies,
Mr. Gasco
and
said, they more future.
they futurized it. Yeah, absolutely.
Even though it takes place in the past.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a neat concept. Yeah.
One thing I noticed is that I saw this on an Instagram post. Basically, prequels and not prequels, original trilogy and sequels, they follow the same main three characters: the Jedi, the pilot, the hot one. And then
What's that?
no, it's just like in the original trilogy, the Jedi, Luke, the pilot, Han, the hot one, Leia.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
And then
in the sequels, the Jedi, Rey, the pilot, Poe, and the hot one apparently was Finn.
And what
Yeah.
is this, a meme?
Yeah, and no, but then when
It
when
was
it comes
just-
when it goes to the prequels, the Jedi, the pilot, the hot one, it's all just Anakin.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Quite literally with Anakin.
The Jedi, the pilot, the hot one. I mean,
Not one.
Yeah, because he falls in lava. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
No, that was actually a very disturbing scene.
It
When I
was.
first- when I first saw
was.
It was very disturbing. Like
He just
Anakin was
left
such a
him
cool
there.
guy. He was such one of my favorite
Like
characters.
next thing you know, he's like,
all of a
on
sudden
fire,
he's
dude.
just
oh yeah,
suffering.
great
If you
job, man.
compare
You're
the
on
first scene-
fire.
nice.
You see that scene at the beginning of the movie where like Anakin, Obi-Wan, they were just talking about Obi-Wan. You've been such a great friend to me, Anakin, and you'll grow to become a better Jedi than I could ever hope to be.
30 minutes
Yes.
later.
All of a sudden,
like,
like,
what you said.
an hour later,
Like, you are my brother.
the Jedi is gone. The
One-
clones are bad, and Anakin is
One thing I noticed is one thing
Legs
that I
off.
learned is
Yeah.
that
3 limbs off and burning in lava.
one thing I learned is that George Lucas he cut out a line from when Anakin was burning.
Oh yeah.
Basically, he while he was burning and Obi-Wan was standing there, Hayden Christensen actually said, "Help me," but then
Oh, I think I've seen
yeah,
like
so-
like
no,
deleted
but
scenes.
like
You can
like
see
like
that,
like
yeah.
a
Yeah.
like, help me and type of thing. But of course,
you can
obviously,
actually see him lip sync. You
Yeah.
can see him lip
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But obviously, if you were to say that, it'd be like, oh, okay, that now you have to sympathize for Anakin again.
Right. That
But-
would call everything into question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, he just had one small misstep and now you cooked him. Okay.
Yeah, I think the purpose of Revenge of the Sith was to just end off
Anakin.
with us feeling that Anakin is the bad guy now,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and to just accept that.
Like betrayal, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I enjoyed this conversation. I'm going to step out for a minute. It looks like we have about 5 minutes left, so
Oh.
All right.
I'm gonna step out. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm talking about the stuff with Legends. I mean, again, like I said, it takes me out of my comfort zone. I mean, if I'm not going to watch or play Knights of
Is
the Old
Legends
Republic.
like an expanded?
It was expanded universe. I mean, ever since Star Wars came out in like 1977, there's
Mhm.
been like it's expanded through books, like right off the bat.
Me personally, keeping track of like all the expanded stuff is hard.
With
like,
Legends, yes.
there's a
Canon's not that hard. I mean, in terms of the relevant stuff. I mean, the relevant
Yeah.
stuff is only in like the shows. If you're gonna read the books and the comics, it's nothing impactful towards anything you see on on screen.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the Legends, again, nothing impacts anything on screen, but people remember a lot of characters from Legends still. I mean, a lot of Sith especially.
Mhm.
Like,
I feel like Sith are very memorable.
yeah,
Because
especially
of-
the
They're
Legends. Sith.
cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, in canon, you only had like 5 Sith.
One
You
thing,
had
Right.
like Maul, Count Dooku.
when I first saw
Palpatine,
Kylo
Vader.
Ren, I thought is that Darth Revan?
I
Oh,
thought
wait.
it was Darth Revan.
I was like because they similar like a build, cloak,
A mask
I
with
think
a hood.
I
Yeah,
remember me and you. We were talking to Mr. Gasco in the music room, and he brought up how there's gotta be more Sith than what they show.
Yeah, and then
Like
we
there's
see
gotta
that.
be like
if you,
millions.
but we
or-
don't.
in
It's
the
like
Clone
the Old
Wars,
Republic.
Darth Bane was briefly brought up in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
it's just his like. I would say
Ghost.
his spirit. It's
Yeah.
not his Force spirit, because I think
Only
because
Jedi can do that. I think.
yeah,
right?
George Lucas's concept of the Force was that Sith cannot access it after death. Only Jedi
Right.
can. But yeah, I mean, in Legends there were Sith like Darth Revan, Darth Nihilus, who was creepy.
Oh yeah.
Darth Sion
Yeah,
was creepy.
Darth Nihilus was basically like the Scream guy.
It's Ghostface. It's
Yeah.
Ghostface with a lightsaber. It was actually
Tell me
terrifying.
about it.
Darth Talon, not so much. Darth Talon was more clickbait. In that,
Like
You know who
No,
Darth
it w-
Talon is, right?
I do not.
I'll
know.
show you a picture of Darth Talon in a second.
You're
But
gonna love
Like this is all like what do you call it?
Legends.
Legends. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen like the Legends stuff.
There was like
I'm very
Darth
limited
Bane.
on my-
Darth Malgus was one of the coolest ones, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
Darth
I know-
Malgus was one of the
I know
coolest
a lot
ones.
more about like the movies and stuff than I do like shows and
Yeah.
Legends because I don't have access to the shows.
I didn't watch Rebels, and I'm in the middle of watching the first seasons of Clone
Wait,
Wars.
Let me see if I can access it.
Yeah, my internet is.
Yeah, I was trying to look
Bad
up
right now.
like the May 4th thing, and my internet was just like, nope.
Yeah, it's like it's not gonna let me. Oh yeah,
All right.
there.
All right. I need to find a good picture for this.
A
Oh,
good
don't
picture.
don't do something inappropriate.
No. All right. First one that pops up.
That's Darth Talon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it
Clickbait.
looks like
For the guys at least.
Oh my god.
like Ahsoka, but evil.
Yeah.
You know.
Evil Aayla Secura.
Yeah.
Basically, same species.
And let's go on the topic of Lego Star Wars
Lego. I have a Lego Star Wars movie. Hello, game.
game. Which one?
Is it one of the original ones?
I think it's only like one of 4.
It
It's
has-
either the complete saga, the original one,
It's
Star
one
Wars
of the
3, the Clone Wars.
It's one of the one. It has Luke in it. So I think they were with like one the planets with the Ewoks on it.
I
I
it's,
think-
Is that the
I
original?
feel like it's
It
the
might be one of the original.
complete saga.
And then I also have
You're lucky.
on
You're
the PS.
lucky. You have the original game. You're
And
lucky.
then I have I have 2, Battlefront and then Battlefront 2 for PS4.
I have both too,
This-
yeah.
I honestly
Speaking-
love those.
Speaking of Battlefront, so when our dad bought us a PS4,
it came
it came with
Battlefront.
Battlefront.
It did.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Mine came
PS4
with
bundle.
Call of Duty.
but we're obsessed with Call of Duty. Him in particular.
Yeah.
I was trying to
He was trying to
update
update the game, but he needed space. He thought that by deleting Battlefront,
You did
I
not.
Would, I would get enough space. But
You.
it did not. It did not.
get enough
It
space.
didn't delete.
It didn't.
It-
I
he
did
did delete
delete
it.
it.
John.
We had to buy it again.
I had to buy it again. We have it again now. But
Yeah,
Sir,
after you
you
bought
should
it
be ashamed of
again.
your
You just
actions. I
wasted
hope you
so
are.
much money.
yeah.
I think my PS4 came. It was the World War II edition. It had like the
Call of
camo on it. And it came with the game.
that's cool.
And I'm like, all right. I don't think I've really played it yet. But I got Battlefront 2, and then I don't know if I have the Wii U. I have Lego Star Wars, or if it's a PS4. One of them.
The Wii?
I have a Wii U, Toby. I do.
But something about the Star Wars video games is that it allows you to be in the world.
It does.
But with that, I've always found Star Wars universe to be so mystical. So I'm always searching the nooks and crannies, trying to get into places that you usually wouldn't really go to.
I feel if it was between Battlefront and Lego, you feel like you're immersed a lot more in Battlefront.
Yeah. Like, but Battlefront had the first Battlefront didn't really have a story.
No.
It was just replaying battles.
Yeah.
I remember I was playing the Battle of Endor on Skirmish Walker Assault.
Oh, Endor. That's what yeah.
And I would always climb on the Ewoks village, get to the top, and there's a certain bridge there where there will be where the AT-AT will travel underneath, and I'll just jump on it, and then just shoot rapidly at it. And you're just riding the AT-AT.
I feel like those are the games that you just like destroy as much as you can and not like you just want to be like, I'm gonna destroy all of this.
It was best when it was versus, and then I was Luke, or you were Darth Vader, or vice versa.
Yeah, and then we were just freaking out.
No.
Trying to kill
No. The thing is, I knew how to play the game better than him. I knew
no,
how to.
you
No, yeah,
didn't.
I did. No, at first I did because I knew I knew to block when he would come in for a strike. He didn't know what blocking was. He was like I would
Okay,
like block,
I don't.
And as he would get stunned because
best defense
from
is a good
block,
offense.
I would hit him, and I would just follow that same thing. Block when he attacks, it gets stunned, and I would hit him again.
What'd you say?
The best defense is a good offense. So I'm just the only defense I'm really doing is dodging.
But if you don't
and
have
hitting.
a strong defense,
Yeah, best
What
defense
are
is a
you
good
gonna do?
offense. Yeah,
I
my
just
stun,
dodge.
my
I just
blocks,
dodge.
my blocks.
you
stun
can have a good offense. That will help you. But if you don't have a
Yeah.
strong defense, you're
I'm just
You're out of luck.
I just rely on dodging.
Yeah.
If it's in those small corridors, then I'm really screwed. But I just really throw my lightsaber.
Oh, speaking of Battlefront, I forgot what map was that where it was like Hangar Bay, where I would always camp in that one room with like other troopers. I would put up a minigun
Yes.
with
That
with
is
the
very
with the
unfair.
force field, and every time he would come in, I would
That's
just
why you know what?
would
I
just
don't
fire
even
at
bother.
him.
I just shoot.
Wait, were
everyone
you just
on the
you were
outside.
camping?
He's
Yes.
camping.
Yeah, okay.
Campers should
Bush
be
camping.
ashamed.
Yeah,
No
you
one
should-
likes campers.
I was
No.
10. Camp.
Still.
Sir, this is Star Wars. Okay, we need to learn fast. All right.
Yeah. But then I think after Battlefront and after Battlefront 2, I still haven't played Battlefront 2 yet.
I played it a tiny bit. I haven't played both games or any of the Star Wars games in a while.
Mhm.
So like I still have a general idea. But I think I played Battlefront. I don't know if I played Battlefront 2 more often. I don't know which one I
I
played more
haven't
often.
touched Battlefront 2 yet. I have it, but I just haven't touched it. It was just because it was on sale. It was like
Yeah.
less than $10.
Listen to
There was this
where are
holiday
you
sale.
getting these?
PS4. It was a PS4 store, and it was like a holiday sale. Like all the games
Where's a
were
PS4 store?
the PS store. If you
PS
go on
store.
the PS4 and you just go
Where?
scroll to the very left.
Oh, on the okay. I'm like,
PS4.
there's a physical store somewhere.
No. It was like the online store, and it was like there was like a holiday sale, and like certain games were under $10 or so. So I got Fallen Order's Ultimate Edition. I got Injustice 2's Ultimate Edition. I got all 3 Arkham games, and
I have a
Battlefront
feeling
2.
you would not see that ever again. Like I think you hit like jackpot of.
Yeah, I mean I gotta wait next Christmas for it.
All right, so before we end this, so I'm gonna ask one question. All right, rank all the 9 main Star Wars films from worst to best.
Hmm.
Okay.
You go first.
Nothing beats Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the best. But if we're going worst to best,
Okay.
all right. I'm battling between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker.
I think Rise of Skywalker was. The ending made sense, but the way they executed Rise of Skywalker just did not sit right.
Yeah, I mean, I want to put Rise of Skywalker last because of I'm Rey Skywalker, but I'm gonna put Last Jedi in the worst because at least in the Rise of Skywalker, Luke was handled correctly.
Let me make my list.
So Rise of Skywalker at the bottom, Then above that is The Last Jedi. Above that, I'll put Attack of the Clones.
Okay.
The only good part from Attack of the Clones, I'll say, was the
What
Battle
are
of
we doing to
Geonosis.
Wait, what were the names of the prequels?
The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
So Attack of the Clones
I'll
was...
rank the 6 and
Yeah.
not the prequels because I honestly haven't seen the prequels
Yeah.
in forever.
So the Battle of Geonosis was the only good thing from Attack of the Clones. So Attack of the Clones is third worst. Above the next one that's above that, I'll put The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens is the best sequel trilogy movie.
Yeah.
I think it did the least damage to the Star Wars lore.
I think what could have been better with that one was how they handled deaths.
Yeah. Above that, we're gonna go Phantom Menace. Because I actually think Phantom Menace is very underrated. I just think the story of Qui-Gon and his relationship, introducing Anakin, Maul is an amazing villain. So there's that. And of course, it has its downsides, like Jar
I
Jar.
feel like every movie has its downsides. I think
Every movie does have its downsides. I think above Phantom Menace, we're gonna go A New Hope. We're gonna go A New Hope. 'Cause I'm battling between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, but I think Return of the Jedi is better than A New Hope because it's just because I'm not gonna put A New Hope above Return of the Jedi for the sake of nostalgia reasons. I'm not gonna just be nostalgically biased towards A New Hope. A New Hope is still good. I'm not saying it's bad, but Return of the Jedi is just better. It wrapped up the story.
New Hope
of
was
Luke's character.
4, right?
Yeah, episode 4.
Yeah. I feel like the reason why you would say that though is because since it was like the first one, and
it was just a starting point.
Yeah, it was like a starting point.
Yeah. So then above Return of the Jedi is above A New Hope is Return of the Jedi. And then above Return of the Jedi, I am going to put Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is really good. Just for its lightsaber scenes. It was at the height of the Clone Wars.
Can I just chime in here for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. How amazing was that scene from Rogue One?
Which
The end scene.
Oh,
Vader.
yes,
Vader's walk.
yes,
Vader's-
that is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That was the best scene in
That-
all of Rogue One.
I actually,
yeah.
even though it was sad,
It was
that
I-
all the
the
characters
way they-
died.
I-
It was the great transition from
Yes.
seeing our character, the main characters die, and going into.
But they did it
like,
so
oh, you're
well.
screwed now. It's
but
like,
they did it so
Yeah.
well that it didn't like sit with you like wrong. It didn't sit badly. It
Yeah.
you actually like accepted that.
father and son hallway scene.
Luke Skywalker and
Luke
Mandalorian
Skywalker had
season 2.
had his own hallway scene,
Yeah.
in which
Yeah.
he destroyed every single Dark Troopers. Is that what those weird robots were called?
Dark Troopers.
Dark
Even
Troopers,
though they're
yeah.
not really troopers, they're
No.
droids.
Yeah.
But okay, so above Revenge of the Sith is of course an Empire Strikes Back, one
Mhm.
of the best sequels in history, I think, in movie history. But if we're gonna put in Solo and Rogue One, Solo I will put between A New Hope and Phantom Menace. I think it's overhated. I still think it's a bit boring, but it's a great Han Solo story.
Yeah.
I think Empire scenes, the scene on the train was pretty good.
I think the beginning was a tiny bit slow, to be honest.
It was
Like it could have moved a tiny bit faster, but I feel like if
seeing
they
Maul at
did,
the end was pretty good.
yeah,
Yeah. The
I feel
villain
like
was
that came out of nowhere though.
the villain was a guy, I think, of Solo. Whoever Paul Bettany's character was. But Rogue One, ooh. I'm
I
going to
feel
put Rogue One
I think
above.
number 2.
It's either above or below Return of the Jedi. Rogue One.
I feel like
It's a great Star Wars movie.
I think I would put it above because of the ending
Yeah.
and like how great
It
that was.
was really a big clutch. But if you
Yeah.
talk about the rest of the movie, I mean, it has interesting stuff. I mean, it has.
I think some parts could have been not done without, but I guess a little brushed over
Yeah.
instead of focused
I mean,
on.
we see what the Empire is capable of in this time.
Like
and-
we really need to like keep going over that. Like we know what they're.
Yeah. But I'll put Rogue One just for the Vader hallway scene at the end for over Return of the Jedi. And then, of course, we got the rest.
Empire.
Yeah. So I'm scared to share my ranking
Oh, no, why?
because
Is it controversial.
You could say that because
I think this whole episode, like, we've
Because-
spoken on controversial.
because
Yeah,
I'm a
like-
very big action guy. I love
Yeah.
so much. I love action in the movies I watch.
But I feel like if you have too much of it, like, overrides.
Yeah, but so this so I'm gonna say now. That's why the original trilogy, they don't really sit too high with me. They're not the bottom. Don't worry, the sequels are the bottom. But the original trilogy, for the most part, they sit somewhere in the middle because they don't have that much action. So
I mean, they have its decent amount
Yeah.
of
yeah,
action. I
it's-
like
in terms of storytelling, it's good. But
story. Yeah,
but
I
action
think
for
I
me
think
is like
also because
a
they
very
didn't
big
know
they put
thing.
story
what
over the
to
action.
do.
I think for
Yeah.
I
the-
think
the-
also
the
since
original
they
trilogy.
weren't totally certain, like, I guess if they did put more action in the original, it would have
I
been
mean, it's
worse.
also just the technology and the choreography
Yeah.
of the time.
Right? Yeah.
So my ranking is Last Jedi at the bottom,
Mhm.
Rise of Skywalker right above it, A New Hope,
What?
Whoa, dude.
Hot take.
Okay.
First Star Wars movie, third worst, according to Toby.
Force
Alright.
Awakens.
Okay.
So you're putting the
you're
cheap
putting-
knockoff
yeah.
over the original.
Let's, like, see. I don't understand why. Just, why would you
Like
do
I said,
that?
I'm a big action guy. What
Oh.
action did
Yes,
what
I know,
action
but
did A
I
New
know.
Hope
Toby,
have?
you gotta
Alright.
understand.
What
like,
action did A New Hope have?
you.
What action did it have?
A New Hope.
What action?
The battle of the Death Star.
Yeah.
Destruction of the Death Star.
Oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
cool, cool. A scene where
No,
one guy is
but-
sitting down in a cockpit
Luke
the whole
versus
time.
Obi-Wan.
Luke versus
Oh, no, not Luke versus
What?
Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan versus
Come
Darth
again?
Vader. Sorry.
Okay.
Ben versus Vader.
in A New Hope.
Yes.
Oh, Ben versus yeah.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
Yes,
Toby,
yes.
It's the
listen,
first
dude.
Star Wars
First
movie.
movie, yeah, but I feel like that shouldn't.
Even
that,
the beginning
I feel,
scene had action.
Yes.
It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I just saying
Okay,
that
but
it
according to
shouldn't
that
be.
ranking, you are.
It shouldn't be removed from the same standards we hold to the other movies. All of the Star Wars, I feel, in order to be fair, should be held to the same standards.
I would just like to say, Toby, you're I don't know if I want to say slandering, but you are offending many people on the fact that you are putting A New Hope that low.
Yeah, I better watch
Alright,
out
but if it's-
senior year. All right. After above Force Awakens is Return of the Jedi,
Okay.
All right.
and then above that is Empire Strikes Back.
Empire's not the first one.
No.
Empire's not
No.
the best. Star
I don't
Wars.
know.
Are you like
those-
feeling
I-
okay today? Like,
Let's
did
make-
you
let-
sleep?
Let's just
Did you get
remind.
enough
Let's just remind
sleep?
our audience real quick that he hasn't touched any of the prequel movies yet.
Yeah.
They're all
Dude.
above the original trilogy, according to this
Dude,
guy.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
If you haven't watched them in a while, I would understand because I
Yeah.
haven't
I
as
will-
well.
I
But
will-
if you haven't seen them at all,
I will admit the Luke versus Darth Vader was amazing. But besides that, I hated the whole Dagobah sequence. That made me when I watch it, every time I watch it, that made me nauseous every time I watched the Dagobah scene.
that's dramatic.
No, not nauseous, but obviously I was like what 9, 8, or
Yeah.
I was a toddler. And how about you
I
have
don't think it
try
was a
getting a toddler to watch the Dagobah sequence. They're gonna get like it's
I think
so
for-
gloomy. It's so
I don't think
miserable.
there was any like slow sequence though. I
No.
mean, even the Bespin
And then-
stuff was
Like
good.
even places that they focused on, it wasn't like
the Battle of Hoth.
slow.
and then
yeah.
You
Ba-
can
Battle-
remember
Battle of
everything that
Hoth,
happened in that movie.
Yeah, I remember everything that happened in the movie. Battle of Hoth, yeah, that was fine. But another thing was that after Luke got his hand cut off, and he was just hanging from that thing, Leia,
I feel like
come
Well, no,
on.
it
I feel like they
Like,
could
sure,
have.
sure, they have a
like I
strong
agree
connection,
on
but,
that
like,
part. I do
It's
agree.
like
They
su-
could have.
such a miserable.
I
ending
do
to
agree
movie.
that they could have done better with that. I feel like they could have sped it up a little bit because honestly, seeing him suffering for that long, I feel like that could have been cut
I will
short a
admit
tiny
the
bit.
Han Solo carbonite thing that hurt. That hurt. Han Solo.
It
getting
hurt, but it was a good scene though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it
a good
was.
scene.
It was a good
It was a
scene.
good scene. I'm not saying that was a bad scene. I'm just saying like.
I'm still hung up on the whole New Hope thing.
Yeah.
Like there's no redeeming yourself from that one. I just
I'm
want to tell you
sorry,
right
I'm
now, there's
sorry.
no
I'm
redemption.
so sorry right now.
No redemption.
Like if you had to say, oh Toby, do you want to watch A New Hope or Attack of the Clones? I will say Attack of the Clones, because like we want to have a movie
That
night.
I understand.
Movie night.
I can understand
Movie night. What
that.
do you want to watch? A New Hope, Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones, easy.
I understand that because yeah, that's reasonable.
And then above Attack of the Clones is Phantom Menace, and then above that is Revenge of the Sith. because I want movies that I can enjoy every time I watch it, not be like a sort of a one-time. Oh, you watch it once, but then okay, I don't really need to see it again.
Yeah.
I feel like the prequels, they are very rewatchable. Unlike the other movies, like when you first see them, they're amazing. But when you watch it again, oh, it's not as good as I remembered it to be.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm going to go through mine very quickly because we do have to wrap up. Last one, I am going to put, after rethinking this, I'm going to put Last Jedi. Just because Rise of Skywalker, I feel like it was a tiny bit more interesting. So for that reason, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, Force Awakens, and then the originals and Han and the other one. I think New Hope, it was good, could have been better. Then I think I'm gonna put Rogue One, Return of the Jedi, Solo. Well, no, actually no. I'm gonna put New Hope, Solo, Return of the Jedi, Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back.
It's pretty solid.
All right.
So.
There.
All right.
All right. I think that wraps us up. Thank you all so much for watching, and may
Glad
the fourth
to be here.
May the fourth be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Mm-hmm.